our podcast is the Bindura Young Women, the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe, Bindura chapter. With me here today, I have three esteemed guests with me. The first one is Dr. Nkoma from the Ministry of Women's Affairs. Dr. Nkoma, can you greet the viewers?
Hello, everyone.
I have Blessing Pandare. Blessing, meet the viewers.
Hello.
I also have Shiko, greet the viewers.
Hi everyone.
So we are having a discussion today around the 16 days of activism. As you know, we are in the days of commemorating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And today is the 6th of December. So the theme for this year is around the Beijing Platform for Action. And the Beijing Platform for Action, looking back, it's a legal instrument that was regulated to help us around the areas of gender-based violence. It was adopted in 1995, and Zimbabwe is a signatory for that document. When we say Zimbabwe is a signatory, it means Zimbabwe agreed to the issues that were discussed in that platform. And among the issues, 12 critical issues were discussed, and the 12 critical issues, they touch areas of gender-based violence. So the discussion that we're going to have today is going to be generated around the Beijing Platform for Action. The young women that I have with me here, they are going to help me to articulate issues of gender-based violence, specifically in the Bindura district. As I mentioned earlier, we have Dr. Nkoma. She's the district head in Bindura. So they are going to help us understand how far we've gone in Bindura with regards to gender-based violence issues. So the first question that we're going to have is going to Shiko. Shiko, how far do you think we have gone in terms of changes in the gender-based violence area over the past 30 years?
I think the issues of gender-based violence are changing a lot, especially in Bindura. Back in the days, women were undermined, and they were even afraid of taking leadership positions. But now we have more women who are into leadership. For example, the ward committees, VIDCOs, we have women who are taking positions. Even in the SDA committees in schools, we have women who are becoming chairmen, which shows that we are improving and we have adapted to change. Also, gender-based violence. Now, vanhu vari kutoripota vakawanda, vanhu havachatya, which shows that we are improving. Also, ma-awareness campaigns ari kuitwa nemapartners edu mubindura ari kutibatsira vanhukadzi vari kuziva, especially ma-raw areas. Vakadzi vari kushanda, vakadzi vari kuhodha, vakadzi vari kutora ma-positions ikoko. Kare kwaingove nevarume. We even have female village heads. For example, kumandaro tatora ma-villages echikadzi, but kudhara kwanga kuchitomborina. So I think things are changing for the better.
Thank you very much, Shiko, for the well-detailed response. Dr. Nkoma, over to you. I understand you are with the Ministry of Women's Affairs. What are some of the achievements and changes that you can add on to what Shiko has said?
I think Shiko has said a lot, but being a government department, let me start by appreciating what the government of Zimbabwe has done. It has put in place a machinery to address these GBV issues, which is the Ministry of Women Affairs. So the Ministry of Women Affairs here in Bindura district, it has some ward development coordinators in different wards of Bindura who will be sensitizing both the young women and everyone in the community on these GBV issues. So we are so happy as Bindura district that the government of Zimbabwe is trying to touch all corners of the district by putting some workers who will sensitize even the communities, starting from grassroots level to address issues of gender-based violence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkoma. I think I also have to add on to what you all said on that issue, because even looking at the legal side, we have laws and policies that have been put in place over the past 30 years. For example, we have the Domestic Violence Act, we have the Maintenance Act. They are all laws that have been put in place, and they are changing and impacting lives at the legal side. And then recently we have the new Marriage Act that has been put in place in order to curb child marriages, because as you know, Bindura, it's one of the provinces, actually I would say much central. It's one of the provinces that has high rates of child marriages. So now we have the new Marriage Act that has been put in place, which is helping us to fight child marriages, because according to to that new act, it is saying a child can only be married after 18. So it is helping us to fight. And then recently we also had an SI instrument that was amended to fight, to help us to fight sexual violence as well, which is saying mwana can now allow kuti aende pabonde nemunhu apfuura makore 18. So those are some of the changes that has impacted us over the past 30 years. So in as much as we have achievements and changes, we also have challenges that come along with it. So Dr. Nkoma, over to you. What do you think are some of the challenges that are being faced in the fight against gender-based violence in Bindura district?
The first challenge is the budgetary challenge, especially looking at the implementing departments. For an example, the Ministry of Women Affairs, the VFU. I feel there's need for government or partners to support the budgets of those people who will be helping to fight against gender-based violence in the district. For an example, if a GBV issue is reported, when one goes to the police, at times you see them without vehicles to go and assist in different areas like Masembura, Musana, or wherever. So if they are supported, I think it will be much better in addressing these issues. And even the Ministry of Women Affairs, there's need to carry out more campaigns, because the people will be growing day by day. So if we campaign today and we stop, there will be other generations which will be coming up, and there will be need of making continuous sensitizations. So there's need to improve the budgets. Even different departments, they need to be well funded so that they'll be able to address this. And we can also look at economic challenges. Our women, especially these young women, they are not economically empowered. Yes, in as much as they want to get into influential positions, but some of them will fail to take up the positions. Why? They are not financed to even mobilize resources or mobilize people to support them to take up those influential positions. So I think it's a challenge again to work towards empowering our young women so that they are economically empowered, so that they will be able to express themselves, they will be able to go wherever they think, even academically. If you are not economically empowered, usually you are not even academically empowered, because you don't have the money to go further with your education. And then we can look at issues like pandemics. These are natural disasters, like the COVID disaster. It came with a lot of problems, especially in relationship to the GBV issues. Most of our young girls were married. There were a lot of child marriages, and which gave higher statistics here in Bindura, because we had many girls married during the COVID pandemic, and it increased. As you know, GBV and HIV, they go hand in hand in these child marriages. So it increased the prevalence of gender-based violence, the natural disasters. And I will not even forget again that we are a patriarchal society, just like other districts in Zimbabwe. Bindura is just a patriarchal society where men, they are dominating the positions of power. So society again is another challenge, of the norms and values which these young women are expected to follow, which are perpetrating gender-based violence. And there are also some religious issues. If you go to churches, if you go to different religious sectors, you will see a lot of GBV issues happening here in Bindura district. So I feel some of these challenges can be curbed by us working together, both society and religious leaders and even our cultural leaders, they need to come together and fight against gender-based violence, which is still a challenge because you will see some of the religious sectors, they are just taking themselves away from other societal groups. So here in Bindura, I feel we need to work together so that we can address the issue of gender-based violence. And the issue of gold panning, artisanal minors, you will see that most of our young girls and young women, they go selling there, and most of them, they come back from there pregnant instead of coming back with what? With money. So we need again to sensitize even the men so that they will assist us in addressing the issue of gender-based violence.
So just to add on, I think pani issue community ignorance. I don't know how I can put it, but people have been used to gender-based violence cases to such an extent that they just now ignore. You find out that not young women being beaten, and then they just leave it and say, Chato is just happening every day. What's the use of going to police because I don't know these are over Buddha. So which means we are having culprits of gender-based violence and perpetrators who are not being held accountable for their actions. So I think the issue for it is a wake-up call to the communities relating to such cases that pani increase in the rate of gender-based violence. So it's a wake-up call that we must also come together as communities and make decisions together so that you can do away with these gender-based violence-related issues.
So under-reporting is another challenge we have. Pakuti mama perpetrators are the breadwinners. So for a woman to report, we also have challenges withdrawal of cases. So I don't know how it can be held by so withdraw my cases somebody but much abuse. So I'm doing a challenge.
Thank you very much, guys, for the insightful responses. Dr. Nkoma, you mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned that something around mining, artisanal miners. And I understand in Bindura, mining is an activity that is very rampant in Bindura. So you mentioned that there are gender-based violence activities also being done there. Women are being victims of gender-based violence. As the Minister of Women's Affairs, what are you doing to that effect? What are you doing to assist?
Thank you so much. I think as a ministry, we are keeping on encouraging the young women and girls to report the cases, and also to encourage them, if they are at the age of going to school, to encourage them to go back to school, and even to look for other means of production instead of because some of these issues are sort of child labor. Some of the girls who are going there are very young. So we are trying to discourage and to sensitize them on the problems of engaging themselves into such activities, and also to sensitize the whole community, including the men and the parents, to look after these young girls and women so that they will not be involved in these issues.
Okay, so moving on. Blessing, how do you think we can measure the progress that we have made so far? As a district, as a nation, how do you think we can measure the progress we have made in terms of gender-based violence?
So without forgetting, we would like and would love to give credit to our stakeholders. This includes our government officials, non-governmental organizations who are also helping us here in Bindura in cases that has to do with gender-based violence. So we can measure that through that stakeholder engagement. We have to do surveys to see how far are they going. Are they effectively engaging with the communities, with these young girls in terms of information dissemination, education, awareness campaigns. How far have we gone? And as well as also relating to the cases that are coming out, the numbers, you can also have to do surveys on that, assessment on that. I figured there was this newspaper, I think an article that came out. They're saying Bindura, if these number yevana vari in marriages, machild marriages cases, GBV issues cases, and I think the rate was so questionable. So are we saying that this is really happening in Bindura, considering that we have stakeholders who are dealing with such cases? We can also measure through the laws and regulations that are there, which has to do with gender-based violence. How far are they being implemented? Are they being implemented effectively? And we also can measure through resource services kuti vanhu vachona vari victims of gender-based violence, are they receiving enough social services? How far are they gone? The number of perpetrators, those are kind of major who have been jailed, who have been accountable for their actions. We also have to look into those numbers. We also have to compare those numbers and do proper surveys so that you can say this is the way we have been as Bindura.
So in other words, you're saying the biggest mechanism that we have to that is surveys and statistics.
Yes. Surveys and statistics, they will help us more to have a better view of what's really going on, and they must be effective and not biased, because some of the numbers and the percentages, they are questionable.
Moving on, I think this is something very interesting, maybe for me. We want to discuss male engagement. Dr. Nkoma, how do you think we should incorporate men in Bindura so that they understand this thing, gender-based violence? How do you think we should incorporate men?
I think they are already incorporated because we are together in this. Yeah. From the beginning, they were incorporated, but because of some biases, some are lagging behind.
Yes.
But generally, I can say men are already incorporated or involved in these GBV issues, because we cannot talk of gender-based violence without them. Yeah. So as I've said before, that we are together in this. And in Bindura district, I just want to appreciate the effort which is being carried out by men, especially our traditional leaders and other stakeholders who have come up with the Not in My Village campaign, where our village heads and our chiefs have agreed to say no to gender-based violence, especially the child marriage issues. They've said no to it at their village level, and they've agreed to take measures, especially when there are some people who will be involved in these child marriage issues. So Bindura district, I think I have to applaud it for that, that it's a very, very effective measure which have been taken by our traditional leaders. And also in different communities, the village heads are also taking part. And even the men, there are some men who are campaigning against gender-based violence, where even we've got different stakeholders who are male involved, who are campaigning against these GBV issues, who are saying no to these child marriages. They are saying even no to the abuse of these young women. So generally, I can say in Bindura district, a lot is happening as compared to some years ago. Men are taking a very pivotal role. And again, I can also say, when we look at the statistics of influential leaders, you will see that most men are in positions of power. Even if you are trying our level best to make women take up these positions, but generally, men are in leadership positions. And these same men again, even in Bindura district, they are campaigning against gender-based violence, especially those who hold key positions and key offices they are working against gender-based violence. Even if we look at government departments, even our CSOs, you see that it's just a mixed bag, because we cannot talk of gender-based violence without them. So they are doing a lot, men in Bindura district. I think we are just moving ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkoma. I think this is a very important or crucial point, because if you look normally where gender-based the word gender generally, where it is spoken, people have a habit of thinking it's only referring to women.
Yes.
So I feel that if we start incorporating men more in gender issues, to achieve what we want to achieve.
Yes.
Because even looking at the campaign that you mentioned, Dr. Nkoma, the Not in My Village campaign, it's a campaign that is campaigning against child marriages. But if you look at it, when we look at a child marriage, it's not the girl child who's marrying herself. She's being married off by a man who's an adult person.
Sure.
So when we talk of male engagement now, we are saying the Not in My Village campaign should be extended more to men, so that they know how bad child marriages are, so that they know that it is not proper to marry a child who's below 18. So the issue of male engagement, I feel that as long as we do not incorporate or involve men in gender-based violence issues, they will not understand the issue.
Sure.
So you find that we have men having an attitude towards the issues because they feel like they are not involved in them.
Education is most important. Since we have incorporated men, now there is a need for education that gender-based violence does not show love. Beating a woman does not mean that you love her. Especially nowadays with this mjolo thing, it has made things worse. You find out munhu anototemwa nedemo, mukadzi arohwa so I've seen this other video circulating on social media. This lady aichitorohwa musoro achitsikwa musoro mabhutsu, and then there was a person who was taking a video, a male person taking a video. So it's something that is so sensitive and touching that men have to be educated that it's not a way of showing love, rather.
Stakeholder was actually saying the same thing. But when he got married, his relatives, they took him aside. Vakamubvunza kuti saka mambomurovamba mai. And then vakamubvunza kuti why?
Okay.
And then sekurumba vati no, mukadzi anda kumbovhundutsirwa. But we are saying in Bindura, we want men to move along with us. We want them to understand the consequences of gender-based violence. We want them to understand that gender-based violence is bad. We want them to understand that child marriages are bad. Because the Not in My Village campaign we are referring to, it's a group of men varikuti kwete mudunhu rangu muchishona, not in my village. So they are supposed to adopt a bylaw that they are supposed, my chief SM province, they will adopt that bylaw, and then that bylaw will then be used in the province to fight against child marriage. So it means if you further facilitate a child marriage after that bylaw is adopted, inenge yatomhosva mudunhu ramambo yamhosva kupi kwese nekukoti. So I think that issue is very important. We are moving on with our discussion. As you can see, it's getting heated up. It's getting very interesting. Shiko, what are some of the support systems or services that are available to assist gender-based violence victims in Bindura?
But quite a number of them. So we make use of referral pathway, where we refer the victims to the lawyers, to the police victim-friendly unit. We also have this help desk at the courts, where young women will be helped with some legal information. Also, at the Bindura Hospital, we've got this one-stop center, where victims will be counseled by the counselors who are there. The victim-friendly unit is also there. The lawyers, also the Minister of Health is playing a great role in helping these victims. We also have this Nambatsoko safe shelter, where the victims will be kept safe, being counseled. So, we've got these services that are helping this GBV issue.
We don't want to leave out our own organizations which are also helping us, such as WeCause. We have other organizations who are also dealing with these gender-based violence issues, who are looking out for young women. So we also want to appreciate them, as well as the government when as well it is doing its work.
Thank you very much. So it means in Bindura we have a strong support system towards gender-based violence victims, and maybe to just add more information on the one-stop center that she mentioned is at the Bindura Hospital, and it's open for the whole province. So it services the whole province. Then moving on to our last question. Blessing, what do you think are some of the myths and misconceptions around gender-based violence generally in the communities?
So I can say the first one is I've heard most men, actually men, saying that gender-based violence is just physical, and it's also these young women don't want to itanga. But then in reality, gender-based violence, it includes emotional abuse, it includes verbal abuse and other forms of abuse, and also in Bindura here we figure that perpetrators of gender-based violence are mostly men, and they also say that it is a single person thing. It doesn't have to include everyone, and maybe ari one ari ega. But we say that gender-based violence, it is a societal thing. It is a societal issue. It includes the whole community. So it needs us to be together, to make decisions together, to deal with it together as one. And it is also, I think it is also a human rights issue. Not a single person issue. It is a human rights issue. Includes whereby are deprived of their rights. They are being snatched of their rights. So I think it includes us all. And these are some of the issues, my misconceptions around gender-based violence that I can say.
To add on to what Blessing has said, pane mamwe mamyths and conceptions atinonomaliza as Bindura district, sekuti kurova mukadzi kuratidza rudo.
Yes.
I think it is going back kumamwe maquestions atambodiscussa ekuti vanhu vanotozo withdraw macases because anobva anzi ndiri kukuratidza kuti ndinokuda. That is a misconception. And pane mamwe futi mamyths kana kuti mamisconceptions akaita sekuti mwana akaroora pamwe atezvara ndivanombotango kumboraraona nemuroora vachivhuranzira. Those are some of the myths and misconceptions. Even the gender-based violence, even the Domestic Violence Act yamataura, iye yakambotorwa the other way around again. Ichinzi mutemo wevakadzi, vamwe vachiripo vashoma vachiri kutotora that way. So but vari kuenda vachitapudzika due to macampaigns nebasa riri kuitwa, but zvichirimo muno muBindura district myths and misconceptions, nekuroora vana vamwe vachifungidzira kuti akarara nemwana mudiki anopora kana zvimwe zvirwere kana maHIV and AIDS, hence vachiexposa vana kuma-child marriages and whatever. Nevamwe vanorota myths and conceptions, vachirota aine kamwana kadiki kasati kambodi. So I think zvinomboti wanike yembe.
Mamwe myths atichinawo ekuti people think that when we do these awareness campaigns, vakadzi vakaziva about gender-based violence, when they go and report GBV, they are not saying my awareness campaigns are increasing divorce rates simply because mukadzi akagona kungonotaurira murume wake kuti ari kundirova, ari kundimanikidza kuti vanandisi kuda, zvakutonzi ndimi muri kutokonzeresa, saka ende munogara kumakotsi kwenyu nemapurisa enyu, which is instilling fear in our young women. Vakutongotya kupota kuti zvino marriage yangu ichaparara, ndonzi paunogara najaji wako kana nalawyer nokuti waripota GBV.
So some men are even saying chihure ichocho munenge maienda kumacampaign kweniko muchinozviratidza, hapana chamunenge muchidzidza. Well, at least I think they fear what women can do if they know their rights. They fear what women can do if they know that gender-based violence is wrong. Because I think GBV is a tool that is being used to control women around. They don't want women to be free, because those equal rights, those zvinotiratidza kuti you are disrespecting. According to the Bible, you must be under me. Hakuna chinonzi my equal rights. So they say there is nothing like that. They don't want to live the reality that there is women's equal rights. Women can also lead. Women can also do greater things.
Earlier on, we mentioned that in Bindura it's a mining town. It's a hotspot for artisanal mining. There's also a myth around that if they sleep with a virgin girl, it brings luck to them.
Okay.
Those are most of the cases that come to court. So those are some of the myths that we have in the district that affect us through gender-based violence. And then some of them, they believe that if you sleep with a disabled person or a person who is an albino. So the issues, there are so many. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us in our discussion. It was a very interesting discussion around gender-based violence. We were discussing the myths in Bindura district. We were focusing on Bindura district. We discussed the myths, the challenges, what we can do, recommendations, so that we fight against gender-based violence as we are in the commemorations of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So that is it from me and my team. Dr. Ngoma, do you have any last words for the viewers before we go?
Okay, I just say no to gender-based violence.
Yes.
Not to gender-based violence.
No excuse. Let's unite to fight gender-based violence.
Thank you very much.